War 2. This one is against NewN. So here I have Venom, Rulk, and Symbiote Supreme. I'm going to be using Rulk here just to clear. I didn't boost or anything for this fight. Super easy fight. Both of Sunspot's specials obviously are melee attacks, so they're not like projectiles or anything. Even if they were, I would just block them because of Rulk's resistance to incinerate or immunity. I guess it's partial immunity, whatever. So this fight is, I think it's a little bit sped up. Maybe it's not. I can't tell, but it's pretty much just parry, beat him, and just, be smart about his specials and not get clipped. He's got some kind of weird animations with his specials. I think at one point maybe I came in too late on a special, and maybe I'm just imagining that. I don't even know, honestly. So yeah, I'm just gonna punch him a bunch, trying to end this fight as quickly as possible, just because I don't want to be fighting this guy. So there that goes. Pretty simple. Rulk is so good. I really think that Rulk is a champ that, especially on the new map with like the Bulwark node, I do think that he's a good champ to rank. If you guys have Rulk at R4 or even a 6-star, he doesn't need to be awakened to get his awesome damage. He just gets additional physical resistance for each heat charge. He also starts every fight with 2 heat charges, so I don't know. But he doesn't need to be awakened. Super awesome champ, really good for the current war meta. So here I am about to fight this Diablo. I'm going to be using Rulk here, but I did throw on some Mystic class boost just to set myself up for my next 2 fights, which I'm going to be taking here on the same set of boosts. In Section 2, you'll see those here in a second. This fight is sped up considerably. I think it's maybe twice as fast as normal. It is a longer fight, slightly, just because it is a mini-boss, and he's got armor and stuff like that, but basically there is nothing to this fight. It is just bait out his L1s, punish him, just punch him while he starts drinking his potion, and I don't know. And I think with Diablo, there's one node on the map that Diablo is actually semi-effective. I won't say what that is, but it's not this node. And I think here you just hope that somebody accidentally hits into his block too much or something and causes themselves some explosive armor damage or something. I don't know. Okay, so this is Path 5 in Section 2. It is the Toggle Unblockable. Symbiote Supreme is really good for this path. He can stagger the unblockable, obviously, because it's a buff. So I didn't get one there, obviously. I'm playing it super safe. I did use an advanced power start boost, so I could start with 1 bar of power. But in hindsight, that was probably a little wasteful because I have 4 out of 5 Mystic Dispersion. Here I kind of got lucky that he didn't throw his L1. It is unblockable L1 on this node too. But you see there, like towards the end of that toggle unblockable cycle, I was just holding my block, letting him try to bait out a heavy so that I could punish. Got to an L3, and at this point it's super easy. With Mystic Dispersion, I'm just going to get to an L2, and then I'm just going to start stealing power, and yeah, pretty easy. Symbiote Supreme, when I got him initially, I didn't know how to fight him optimally. But it's basically get to the L3. Obviously, if you have Mystic Dispersion on, then he's just a completely, new level of monster. But he's a really good champ, and pretty good for a lot of these paths, especially if you're pairing him with Venom. He can reset the staggers and stuff like that. There I swipe up just to make sure that I'm still recording because I have had issues in the past. But this fight is going to be very similar to the last fight. All I'm doing here, it is like unblockable L2 and L2 bias as opposed to unblockable L1 and L1 bias, but I'm pretty sure that that's the only difference between this node and the one with Punisher. But yeah, I mean, same thing. I'm just going to get to an L3 here. I could have punished that. It doesn't really matter. Just get to an L3, and then at that point, the fight is pretty much over. Yeah, I don't know. Just recycle L2s, and he'll start to bleed too. So it's just, I mean, super fast once you get to that first L3. If you guys are running Symbiote Supreme in War, and you either don't need any additional attackers, or you don't need, you only need one more attacker, then Mordo has a good synergy with him. He starts every fight with a bar of power. That's especially helpful if for some reason you're not able to run Mystic Dispersion. I know that there are a lot of people that will kind of have a set build for the entire season and they won't change their masteries. And if that's the case, then you know, Mordo is a good option to give him that additional bar of power at the start of the fight. Okay, so here I'm going to take Warlock. I am going to be using Venom, although the global node that they chose was Dodge. So Symbiote Supreme can work here too. He can armor break him and nullify or stagger his armor, and he could have worked. But I'm going to use Venom just because I think that it's a lot safer. Venom, I think, is immune to any power drains from tech champions. So once I get an infection, I think at that point Venom is definitely a safer option than Symbiote Supreme. So anyway, that's why I went with that. One thing that I do want to be careful of here is, you see I totally messed up there. I got lucky that he only went in for 2 shots, and that he didn't throw his L1 because that could have done a lot more damage. But one thing that I'm waiting on here is, or that I have to be cautious of, is if he is at 1 bar of power, below 2 bars of power, when that toggle unblockable becomes a thing. Because obviously his L1 it's not terribly difficult to evade, but you know, if you mess up, you can end up taking a lot of shock damage, kind of similar to Iron Man, Infinity War. So anyway, pretty straightforward. I'm just playing very passively here. I'm just going to wait out this unblockable buff, and then I'm going to just try to bait the heavies, and that's about it. I threw the L1 because I finished a combo and he was at a bar of power but not at 2, and the toggle unblockable node had popped up, so I figured that he would probably throw that if I didn't throw my special. I wasn't certain that it would finish the fight, but it did, so worked out pretty well. Okay, and then the next fights are going to be 3 mini-boss fights here. Now, this is counter tactics, and what I'm doing here is I'm just resetting my utility tree, or proficiencies, right? I removed dexterity. If you remove dexterity against Dormammu, it's super easy, and you completely bypass all of that damage that he gets from your buff. So you can just, you want to bait the L1. Even if he throws an L2, you can just block that. But on counter tactics, obviously that's pretty risky. You probably don't want to be messing with taking on blocked special attacks due to the boosted attack damage that he's going to be doing. But yeah, I'm going to take Rulk. Rulk absolutely just smashes Dorm. You notice that I put on medium boosts here. I was looking at the fights and I was like, medium boost should be fine. That'll come into play here in my last fight. So here, again, it's breakthrough and counter tactics. So you see those little armor break debuffs. That's from breakthrough. So all I'm doing is I am trying to bait out an L1. I want to keep him at an L1. I don't want to push him to an L2. And I'm able to dash back, but I'm not using dexterity, so I'm not getting that that dexterity buff that he can. That once it expires, he can start degenning me with. So I am just building up my heat charges. It's going to do additional second strike damage, and the damage ends up getting just hilarious with Rulk. You see the second strike damage that was a killing blow, so it didn't show it, but I mean, you're doubling your hits basically with the second strike damage. Pretty awesome. He's an awesome champ. Awesome champ. Okay. So first thing, before I even move, because I have done this in the past where I've forgotten to take or put back dexterity after I had removed it. First thing, I go to my utilities and I put dexterity back on. I left 5 masteries because I'm not actually sure if I want to load up limber again. I'll figure out what I'm gonna do later. But since I only had 2 more fights in this war and I wasn't gonna be using Mystic Dispersion, I just left them as is for now. This fight is pretty much similar to the Spider-Gwen fight that I had in my previous war. Really the thing to know about Stealth Suit Spider-Man or Night Monkey is his light attacks cannot be parried. He's essentially like Yondu in that respect. So what you want to do is, if you need to parry him, you want to parry a charging medium as opposed to trying to parry a light attacks. That won't work. I do want to keep him just to an L1. This node also has strike back, so I don't really want to throw a special here. I don't believe I throw a special in this fight, just because his L2 can do some sizable damage and it's a projectile. I could evade it, but if I mess up, then I could end up doing like hurting myself quite a bit. And war, really, especially on this new map, more than ever, it's just about being as cautious as possible. Even if the fights don't look super sexy, or you're not like showing off like an insane amount of skill or whatever, just keeping it simple is the way to go, because one mess up on this map can do you in. Okay, so this node has energy resistance, crit resistance, and it's debuff immune. Okay, so I'm using Rulk here. I feel really comfortable with Rulk against Sentinel. I actually only recently, like last couple weeks, fully explored Act 6.1, and I used Rulk for the Sentinel main boss. I soloed him pretty regularly with him. I can't remember how many paths there are, like maybe 8 or 9. I think I had maybe 5 or 6 solos with Rulk in there. It's a longer fight, but the point is that I feel really comfortable with that. I don't care about him getting to his 100 analysis charges, or I didn't. Maybe I should have cared a little bit more, because obviously he's got his crit resist at 100 analysis charges. Mixed in with the crit resistance for the entire node. You can see here I've only done 25% damage in a full minute, and I have only 2 minutes to go to knock off the rest of his health here to 70%. So at this point I was thinking, holy shit, I am going to time out, and I don't have suicides on. I did activate Glass Cannon for this war, so my health is slightly lower, but my attack is a little bit higher, but no suicides. And as I showed you guys earlier, I chose to go with a medium attack boost and a medium champ boost instead of bigger champer attack boost. So here I mess up on the L2. That's another reason I like Rulk against Sentinel. Obviously, if you don't evade his L2, then you will be incinerated even through the block at 100 analysis charges. and Rulk just converts those into heat charges, which gives him more damage and more physical resistance. So Rulk kind of has a built-in safeguard against Sentinel, but yeah, I mean, I'm under a minute. I still have over 40% here, and I'm just trying to be super aggressive. I even that's normally something I wouldn't recommend doing, is going for an intercept when a defender has a bar of power. But I'm basically in freak out mode here. I'm like, holy shit, I'm not gonna make it. And if I mess up on something, then I don't know, it could really be bad. So at this point, I am just I'm going to try to do a wall dex. He doesn't even cooperate there. So I'm like, okay, cool. I have 10 seconds to finish off 15% health. I do have 1 point in Assassin, which absolutely is clutch for me. Here, I was like, okay, no way. If he threw his L1, I would not have finished this fight. I would have timed out with a second left. But he went for the heavy instead, and I snuck by. Learned my lesson there. Obviously, if we see a Sentinel on that node again, and I'm going to take it with Rulk, I'll either have suicides or I'll boost a little bit harder. So anyway, that is the war. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to, and I'll post War 3 here in a few days. All right, thanks.